Hey everyone, it's Mr. John from AK Dragonfish 3D. So today I've made quite the righteous mess on my table, and I'm gonna show you my mess. The purpose, the point of the video is I'm assessing my building parts for building lures, and I figured I'd share some of last year's builds and this year's builds. Most of these are 3D printed lures. You might stand quite impressed by a few of these. A lot of these designs can be found on thingiverse.com, among other things. Take the shape, you change the shape a little bit and you go with it, right? A lot of the lures are just ideas that just float around the internet. They've been floating around for years. And I'll get to that. So without further ado, my mess. Just kind of give it a comb real quick. Yeah, that's a mess, right? So let's break it down. Here's all my pliers. I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, if you're going to do anything involving lure making, you need to have crimping pliers. Well, on the end right there. On the end right there for sure. Oh, and of course, the minute I start filming, the bird starts squawking, right? That's for getting inside split rings, right? So split rings. So a couple different sizes, along with some basic jewelry pliers, right? Some snips. These types of pliers here are invaluable. These round tipped nose pliers, right? And I bought like a makeshift jewelry kit that came with them, and some parts, and I printed some other parts for jewelry making to expand the repertoire. Okay, so continuing on my mess of things, you got some spoons, some spinners. Never judge. Never get rid of a blade. I learned that early on in lure making. Never get rid of a blade. I plan on, you can always sand it down. You can always repurpose it. Just like beads. I mean, some of these like this one here, that one there. That's an actual fishing bead. Whereas some of these, like these two here, are actual just craft beads. I mean, my wife bequeathed upon me this massive bag of beads she found at the thrift store. All sorts of beads, all different shapes and sizes and whatnot. Let's see what kind of lures we can make there. The immediate thought is wedding rings, and just clear plastic beads. You can buy these as a kit for the center of your wedding ring. I've got some over here. I'm gonna grab the other thing of beads and bring it over. Right there, you buy it as like a string at like Hobby Lobby or I got mine at Joann's in the bead section. And a lot of these are more beads. These respectively. That's my honest attempt to sort that into that, right? Previous video I covered my recent prints, including all my various different spins, my spinner types. This one here is the Pride and Joy right there. There's the newest pattern right there. I'll get into part 2 video of a great and glorious lure idea. And again, more spinners of different sizes and some apex shape, just curved leaves, right? A while back, last fall, I bought me a thing of beads off of Amazon. There's a splurge. Now we'll move into some of the work in progress, and oh yeah, there's some failed prints over there. I got an idea here of trying to turn let me grab it real quick. Turn this into a two-fer, so that way I can probably print this in one color and this in another to get like a two-tone, if you will. Now, recently speaking, I'll move down to the middle section now. So again, bought me a spinning kit for $30 off Amazon. It let me make a whole bunch of spinners. It came with a whole bunch of these and wires and coppers and silvers and various different silver copper blades. It came with some sticky paper, which I don't have much left of that order. And it came with some wires and such. I got these larger Colorado styles from one of my many trips to Anchorage. Trying to get better light because the light's behind me. Can't get the light in front of me for some reason. Right? And move on. So recently found this on Thingiverse. It's a Snell Holder. So you put your Snell hook there, wrap it around, and then feed it through the end there. So I printed 6 of them. See how they go. And I saw this one too. Another like lure holder. I imagine I'm gonna use this one for more like my what am I thinking? My hoochies. I'm gonna rebuild. I'll do those in a different video too. So I printed a couple of these. Maybe see how many hoochies I can put on. Split rings. Okay, note to self. Just share. These are actual fishing split rings, and they work wonders. Different shapes, sizes. This is just a collection of split rings I bought throughout the year. Various different shapes and sizes. Some are very large, some are very small. These are copper split rings. I got these in the craft section at Walmart. Just like this. Mixed. They are copper split rings. I don't recommend these. They don't hold water well. If you can find a way for water, or I'd be quite interested to see what other people think about copper split rings as opposed to steel split rings. I'm really interested. Comment down below. Drop a comment. Some maybe 12-inch lead. Last year I clipped the swivel on the end to just to my braided line, threw it in the river. I caught a trout out of the river, so it works, right? And then so I went home, I printed another one and put some color to it. This has a lot of glow-in-the-dark paint. This one I put some blue beads on. I didn't make the leader right, so I'm thinking I'm gonna cut these apart this year. Probably do a double Snell hook, double bait hook of some kind, and maybe do a variation of a drop shot where the river picks this up and rotates it, like spins it, while the weight down on there, put a 3-way right there that goes to like a sinker. So this is elevated up off the ground, right? And then anyone who knows me about fishing knows I love plugs. I love the flatfish, right? So I took the flatfish last year. This one kind of worked, right? Because I made it slip. So it slips through. So it slips through the line, right? It slips through the line. And so I just kind of made it as is. It swims rather well, decently enough. But then I tried to make it smaller for my ultralight rod, for my finesse fishing, and it didn't go so well. So this one's, I don't want to put it over in the scrap pile that needs to be thrown away, but oh yeah, that needs to move back over there. So I'm thinking about redoing both of these to some degree to reline them or whatever, right? We'll continue down here. Here's some spinners I made last year. They didn't do too hot, so I'm probably gonna clip them apart. First one I had a failed print. I was trying to print something. I don't quite remember what. But I got this weird barreled bead, right? So I got this weird barreled bead. Sorry about that. I had to shift the chair. And I thought, you know what? Why not? So I threw some other beads on it. Put a hammered blade on there. Didn't use the right hook. Didn't use the right wire. As you can see it like there. I mean, the first time a fish hit it, the wire just bent. It bent right there, and it bent right here, and it just didn't want to swim. The same is true. I built this one straight off of the hold it like that first, right? Straight off the kit that I got from Amazon, the lure kit. Just That's the wire that it came with, the hook that it came with. That's the all the beading and whatnot. Just a brass colored spinner, right? But again, I don't think it's the right wire, because if you look right there, as I'm holding it right there, you can tell that thing got bent AF. Straight, weirdly bent to the point where now it doesn't spin. I got about 2 fish in last year on a cloudy day at Cushman, and then this thing was just in op. I'm having to rebend it every other cast, and it was not fun. It was not pleasant. So I'm going to cut that apart, salvage it for parts. Then I got this idea, great and glorious idea of again, I got me an ultralight rod. A Shakespeare ultralight rod went on sale at Walmart. So I picked me up one because I've never really had an ultralight rod. And then I was like, well, let's talk about ultralight lures. And sure as snot, here's one right here. It's what do they call it? They call it like a spin tail, if you will, right? So it's a spinner on a tail, just a 2-part body, ran some wire through some reflective sticker on it, hit it with a couple coats of polyurethane. Problem is, the blade is too close to the hook on this, or I'm just using too big of a hook, one or the other. Because once it goes through the water, eventually the hook ends up on the ring, and it's not a pleasant experience, because then I don't get that wobbly tail bait fish action, right? It's, like a lipless crank is supposed to, and there, right? But that's supposed to, and it's not quite right. I don't think I built it quite right. I built a blue one, or an orange one, and I built a pink one. I took the hook off this one because I was going to tear it apart and try to redo it, and I didn't glue it quite back together quite right. But I don't know, maybe I can make something out of these two, right? Or at least salvage the spinner and the eyes. Then we've all done this one before, at least once. I mean, anybody who's made any lure did this one. I made this one out of a beer cap. Drinking an Angry Orchard one day, and just had an idea. Hey, it's a red body. I know. I did this when I was in high school, fishing bass in Eastern Washington. So why not? Let's try it up here. And sure as snot, it worked. Right? I put a red hook, red, right? Copper. I run it cloudy days when it's not like ultra sunny, and sure, it worked rather well. So now we'll move on to I call it the Broom Handle. So it's a little different from your standard tail. I used extra filament, just kind of put a tail. It's not meant to flare. It really just there for attraction, extra weight, different color, because fish see color. These things are amazing. First and foremost, they cost a dime a dozen, literally a dime a dozen to make. Well, 2.5 cents, and I get about 3-4 grams per dozen. So at 2.5 cents per gram. It's not aimed for function, as you can see. There's a little. It's not aimed for perfection, but it does its job. It protects a treble hook. So I need to print more of those. So last year did a almost done promise. Almost done promise. So last year, I'm gonna cover it up for a minute. Saw a video that said, hey, pike eat big pike. They eat ducks. So I made a duck. It's not quite the motor duck. My idea. I made it complete. I just took a basic duck model in 3D print, dropped it in mesh mixer, made it hollow. There's foam in this, people. There's some no duh packing foam in this. This is hollow. Wire running through it in all the places. I took it out once. As you can see, there's some scuff marks. The body is 3 coats of polyurethane. There's 1 coat of polyurethane on the feet. I need to coat the feet some more. Whole point is, I put the hooks on it. I threw it out there, swam it around for a little bit. It works well. Had a couple pikes strike it, but they didn't commit because they were baby pikes. But the the feet just kind of dangle as you throw it out there, and it floats, and you just pop it and give it a slow reel, and pop it, slow reel, pop it, slow reel, pop it, slow reel. Right? Well, I just need to finish the lure. Pretty good thing. All right, so anybody, again, I mentioned plugs. I sure as not. So there's last year's Pride and Joys, along with some work in progresses, right? So last year's Pride and Joys, here's my big shrimp. This is 3D printed. This, I mean, you go buy a Maglip 5, you're spending $15, $20. And yet, here you go. Couple hooks I had lying around. Swivel, some wire, some solid wire. And now it's tangled. Couple eyes, really good paint job. Tried to mimic a larger shrimp-like object. And there we go. So that's and then here you go. Caught a couple off this one last year too, trolling. Again, just a flatfish design, your standard plug. Clone of a quick fish, if you will, or a Maglip. Clone of a quick fish or a Maglip. And another variation. I thought it was cool to paint, one side black, so when it goes down in the water, it gives that darker presentation. And a smaller version here. Just put a hook on the end, threw it out there, gave it a slow presentation, and it worked well. So this year I printed an orange one because I had some orange filament left. Same design, same basic principle, concept. I put it in mesh mixer, kind of rounded out the edges a bit, so it's a little bit different in shape compared to the more rigid one. So I'll be interested to see how this one swims. Throw a hook on the end of it. Little swivel. Just printed this one the other day. The tip broke off. It's kind of sad. I got it on there I got it on there fairly good with some super glue. I think it's unique. I might paint the tip a different color. Maybe give this some weird paint job. And then plugs. There's some crankbait. So here it is, all still on the raft. Right, and so long and short, you put them together. You put the lip on there, and you're good to go. As an example, I've got these two over here. I got this one here. I've already put it together, glued it, painted it, put the rings in there, rattle to it. Oops, I took it off the line. Okay, so there's already a couple coats of polyurethane on it, and you still need to do the top coat. But you hear the rattle, right? And that's because if you take this one, right, you can see the cavities where you put the rattle and the weights and whatnot, and you simply just glue it together. It takes a little bit of finesse work, a little bit of model work, small model work. And then another one that I made is more of a top water. This one's completely hollow. I put some tiny beads, and I'm talking, I got a couple over here. See, I don't know how well you're going to see this, but some tiny beads. Some teeny tiny beads. I put a couple of those inside this one. That's what gives it that rattle, but it's hollow otherwise. Other than again, I put a couple clear coats of polyurethane on this. These two I still need to do the top. That's what I'm looking for. The top coat, so it's gloss, nice shiny. And then finally I got some more reflective paper, right? There we go. So I pause the video and open the package, right? Move it back out of the way here. So you get this reflective paper. It comes, what did I pay, like $10 off Amazon for this? So most of my parts I get fairly cheap off of Amazon. They come rather quickly. Amazon or eBay, either way. There's lots of fish parts makers out there. None that use 3D printing of anything, but Not to my knowledge, at least. Most of them are injection molding or wood or whatever, or factory made and imported from China and drop shipping, reselling. But either case, paper. Examples. Right? And there's a few other examples. I think I got a spoon in here and I put a strip on. And right there to add that extra little flash and shine to the spoon, give it that little bait fish look, right? So with that said, that's my mess. That's my mess of the evening. I'm gonna get it all organized. Oh. I'm gonna get it all organized, figure out what's what. Got things I built last year. It's great. That is amazing. Amazing. Some other shapes and sizes of lures, beads, more beads, hooks, obviously, and you can't go wrong with a good pair of split ring pliers. So, with that said, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, you want to see more of my 3D printing and me building lures and trying them out and whatnot, go ahead and smash that like button, smash that subscribe, and as the saying goes, fishing's life. For everything else, there's coffee. Y'all have a good one and have a good night.